Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Alright, we are on our day 4. This is all about the items and inventory. And in this session, we are going to look into the different setups or different item setups that we have out of the box in NetSuite. Primarily, we have inventory items, non-inventory items and service items. And then we will also look into how to do inventory adjustments. This is especially where you need to, adjust your own end quantities in the system with your physical quantities. This is, the transaction that we use. Alright. In NetSuite, you can create new items going in list. Counting and items. This is the navigation. And when I click on items, I will be able to see all the items that are currently created in my NetSuite account. Alright, these are all the different types of items that I have on my NetSuite account. And I can export this list into Excel. If there is a requirement where you need to do some sort of analysis of all the items that you have, or if you want to review if there are any duplications, you can export this from here in Excel, all the items. And if you need to create a new item in NetSuite, you can simply click on New Item. This is the New Item button. I will click on that. And here you will notice different types of items that NetSuite offers. Here, this is the item type. And you will notice that there are multiple types of items. One by one, I will be explaining you all the different types of items, especially the important ones that you will, experience down the line. Assembly item. Let's say if your organization or if your client is a manufacturing business where they procure components and convert them and assemble them into a finished good, then you will use assembly item. Alright. And if your client is just a wholesale distributor where they purchase goods from the vendor, store them in their location and, fulfill it to their customers, a typical wholesale distribution business, then they will be creating inventory items in NetSuite. Alright? And let's say if you are working with a service-based industry where they sell services, or if it's a software-based industry, then you will be seeing, service items. Service items being created in NetSuite and being utilized. Does it make sense that based on the client's type and client's business, we are going to choose a different item types in NetSuite to be created? Shivraj, is this making sense? Like, what does it mean exactly, the item? Alright, I mean, have you been using items previously? Like, do you have any sort of concept of items? Before I explain that, items we used to know in current scenarios. Not exactly into, for. Let's see. Alright, never mind. I mean, I'll just give you an overall idea. Let's say I am, I sell TVs, alright. TVs and electronic equipment. These equipments and everything that I purchase from my vendors, and then I sell it to my customers, right? I have a retail shop of electronics. I purchase goods from the distributors and then I sell it to my customers. These items that I'm procuring and selling is basically an item record in NetSuite. And this is going to be my inventory item. Reason being that I purchase it. This is going to be on my purchase orders and my bills. Then I store it in my warehouse and in my retail store. This is the concept of items. Anything that you purchase, hold and sell is called an item record. Now item is of different types. A simple inventory item, an assembly item, service item, non-inventory item. Now this will depend upon the business to business and clients that you're working with. If you're working with a wholesale distribution client, it's going to be an inventory item. But if you're working with a service client, right? Let's say if you're working with a software house that creates softwares, that would be a non-inventory item because it's not physically there. It's not a tangible good that they are selling. It's going to be a non-inventory item. We don't sell any products of our own, but perhaps we sell our services. We give training services. In that case, I would be creating service items in the suite. Does that make sense? Yes, I understand. Alright. I mean assembly item. You can also create discount items in the suite. Let's say, if you want to apply a discount directly on the sales orders, you can create discount items. You can create inventory items. As I mentioned that, if you're in a business where you're doing wholesale distribution, you can do that. Inventory items. As I mentioned, for software houses that produces their own, that develops their own softwares. Perhaps a good example would be Microsoft. They sell their licenses, right? No license is not a physical good, but it's an intangible product that they sell. That is perhaps a non-inventory item where we are selling our services to you. If we are using NetSuite, we would be creating service items for sale. Hope that is the status quo. Now, with that being said, I will click on inventory item here and see how to create a new inventory item. When I click on inventory item, it is going to open up the new item page for me. Now this is the standard item page in NetSuite with all the different fields that you can capture on the item record. And again, you don't really need to be overwhelmed with all the information here. Just need to focus on all the important fields. And the basic and the mandatory fields that you need to have on the item record. The first one mandatory field is item name and number. Now this is the SKU number, or it could be, the item name description, anything that you want to capture here. Perhaps if you go in a grocery market or, in a grocery store, you will see that there is a barcode assigned to an item, right? Before the description, there is always a number, an SKU number. This is what you can capture in the item name and number field over here. Let's say, there is this SKU number called as SKLAN3556. This is the item number in the system that you will create. And then you will have the UPC code. Again, this is also a universal code that you can assign on this item record. And then we have the display name. This is where you are going to give the display name for this item. Let's say I am trying to create an item for HP ProBook laptop. Now, this is the description that I'll give here in my display name and code. Alright, and here I can select my type, a unit type. This is the type in which I purchase, sell and stock this item. Let's say this is an item that I purchase in bottle. I will select bottle. If I purchase this in box, I can select box over here. But this is a laptop, and a laptop is something that is purchased in units or perhaps eaches. I'm going to select eaches over here. You can select your unit of measure as well on the item record in which you purchase, sell and stock this code. I purchase laptops in eaches, which is the most appropriate unit of measure. I'm going to select each over here. Alright. And then moving forward, here we have the classification. Here again, if you are working with a one world account or with a group of companies, you can assign this item to the relevant subsidiary or the company that is going to deal with this item. Let's say I have 10 companies, but this item is only sold and purchased by NSE Australia. I'm going to select Australia over here, and this item can only be used in NetSuite with this subsidiary. You cannot use this item with any other subsidiaries. And if you want to give the item access to all of your subsidiaries, you can simply select on the parent most over here and select include children. Now this item would be applicable to all your subsidiaries in your NetSuite account. And then you also have department, class and location. This is again, coming. This concept is coming from the previous sessions. Segmentation. You can assign a default department class and location that would auto populate on your transactions when you select this particular item. Again, this is non-mandatory. You can just skip them, keep it blank. The important one is the subsidiary over here. Alright, and I'll just move forward here. There are some custom fields created on this account. I'll just skip them out. It's not necessary to deep dive into that. But here the important one is the costing method. Here you will select your costing method for this item. When you store this item in your stocks, what is the costing method that will be used to calculate the inventory valuation and the cost of goods sold? You have 4 to 5 different methods. You can select the costing method. You can select the costing method. You can select the costing method. You can give it over here. If there is any stock description that you want to give, you can give it over here. You can capture all those informations on this side. Then there are again, a lot of fields that you can capture. This is just for reporting purposes, like manufacturer details, MPN number, manufacturing country. If this is an imported item that you purchase, you can capture all the manufacturing details for this item on the item record as well. Alright. And then there is the sales and pricing tab. Now this is the most important part. Here you can give your sales description for this item. If there is any unique sales description that you want to populate on your invoices and sales orders for this particular item, you can give this sales description over here. If you keep it blank, automatically the description that you have set over here will be populated. Alright? And the most important part here is the pricing. This is where you can set your pricing. You notice that here you will see all the different currencies. On this particular training account, we have a lot of currencies created like USD, AD, KD, Euro. Now for each currency, you can set your own pricing. for, let's say, USD. I have a list price for this item of 500. And notice that you can also create multiple price levels for this item as well. There could be a base price or a list price. But perhaps you can create another price level for your retail customers and a separate price level for your wholesale customers. If you're in a retail business, you will see that whenever there is a walk-in customer, there is a separate price for them. But when you purchase in wholesale, in a lot from them, they will offer you a different price, right? This is where on the item record, you can capture multiple pricing for this item. Here, I already have a list price and then I have a 5% discount price. I have an online price. If this item is sold online, I can offer a different price. Perhaps it should be 600. You can set different pricing for your same item. That's the whole idea behind setting up the sales and pricing. Now you could do this for all of your currencies. Let's say if you are in Middle East and if you sell in AEDs, you can go in the AED currency and set your AED price level. Now USD price is going to be different from AED. That's obvious, right? If you are in a different country, you will have your different pricing. AED, perhaps it be 900. You can set your AED pricing as well in this section. Alright, this is the sales and pricing tab where you can set up all your pricing for this particular item. And then when you create a sales order or an invoiced transaction, you can select the relevant price level and automatically the right price will be copied from there. Whenever on the sales transaction, if I select list price, 900 is the price that will auto-populate. And if I select my online price, then again, it is 900 right now. But let's say if it's 950, automatically 950 is the price that will come up on my sales transaction. I don't have to manually punch in the prices at the time of the order entry. Based on the price level set on the item record, automatically this is going to be populated. And then we have the accounting tab over here. You notice here you can set your different GLL accounts. The important ones are cost of goods sold, asset account, and income account. This is an inventory item, right? Like this is something that I purchase. This is something that I store in my warehouse. And then I fulfill it to my customer when I receive an order. You have your cost of goods sold account. You have your asset account, inventory asset account, and you have your income account. Whenever this item is sold, this is the income account that will automatically, be used on my sales transaction. This is the cost of goods sold account that will be used when I fulfill this item from my inventory. And this is the asset account that will be used when I purchase this goods and store in my inventory. Now, these are all accounting terminologies. But as you know that NetSuite is an ERP system. Any transaction, any movement of goods that you do within NetSuite also has a GL impact. And this is where your GL accounts are derived for this particular item. At this point, do you have any questions on the inventory item? If we have discount for this inventory item, do you have any option here to apply the discount for the particular item? No discount is a separate item type, and that is to be applied when you are doing your sales transaction. It's not here. In the sales transaction, sales order it's not here. It is a separate item that you will create and apply on your sales order or invoice. Then it is fine. Alright. These are some of the important things that you need to know when you are creating an item record. And once I have entered all the information, relevant information, I can simply save this. Alright, these are some custom fields created. I will just enter a few things over here. Oh, alright, alright, alright. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.